One of the hardest days in my career was just recently, and I made a video about it and posted it earlier this year. And generally speaking, my job as a hospice nurse is not hard, but on these days, like I showed in that video, it's hard. Like the hardest part of my job is when we can't get someone comfortable before they die, which rarely happens. But on this particular day, I showed up at a patient's house. I was the first nurse to see them for in-home care, for palliative care. So they had likely a year, maybe more to live. So they weren't going on to hospice. But when I showed up, the person looked very unwell, and he had a lung condition, and he was breathing really strangely. Like when I first saw him, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, this guy looks like he's actively dying. And I said to the family, does he normally look like this? Is he okay? And they said, he's been worse lately, but no, he looks like this a lot. And then they woke him up. And when they woke him up, he kind of snapped out of it and stopped breathing like that and kind of like became alert and oriented, which was surprising to me. But then I was like, okay, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. Maybe I'm thinking this guy is sicker than he is. So I sat there and talked to him, and we were talking about stuff. And as we went along, I realized he didn't want to be full code anymore. He didn't want to go to the hospital, and that he actually might have met criteria for hospice. But then all of a sudden, as I was speaking to him and doing his assessment, he changed again. And he went like unconscious and started having changes in breathing. And it looked like he was actively dying to me. And I was trying to wake him up and he wouldn't. I was showing his family and I was like, listen, if he's not on any program yet. Like we're still in the process of doing this. You might want to take him to the hospital because he's clearly having issues. I didn't have oxygen there. There was no morphine to give, like nothing to help with him clearly like struggling to breathe. I'm like, I think you should take him to the hospital. And they were like, no, he doesn't want to go back to the hospital. And he could kind of hear me saying this stuff, so you could see him like shaking his head. But he was clearly having extreme difficulty breathing. So I kind of kicked into high gear. I was like, okay, you don't want to go to the hospital. So I called the office, I called my doctors, and I was like, listen, we need to get oxygen here stat. We need to get morphine here stat. This man is like struggling to breathe as we speak. Like we need to get everything here. And we need to get everything here like within the hour. And they were like done. So they were kind of working on it on the back end, and things were going to show up within the hour, which is amazing work by my team. But I was still there for 45 minutes, maybe, waiting for all this stuff to come. In those 45 minutes, he died. And he struggled for all of those 45 minutes, breathing. He was not comfortable. He was kind. One of his last words he ever said was thank you to me, because I had covered him up with a blanket and tried to put a fan in front of his face to help with the feeling of air hunger. His family was so kind. They were all so kind. But it was a bad death because we could not get the things that we needed there quick enough. And the family and he did not want to go back to the hospital, even though he was struggling to breathe and uncomfortable. And of course, I want to respect what they want. But that was one of the hardest days because I basically watched someone suffer to death. And that rarely happens. It's no one's fault, not my fault, not his fault, not their fault, no one's fault. But those are days it's hard. Those are the days that it takes out of me and the family. And, it was just something I'll never forget. It's just a really hard day. And those days stick with me and are hard.